Broadcasting through a busted record player from the abandoned Long John Silver's behind the abandoned Pizza Hut on Center Avenue in Bay City, Michigan, it's Everything, Anything, and Nothing Really, with your hosts Eric Walensky and Matthew Maynard. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Eric.
I'm Matt.
And good evening to you, Matt.
Good evening, Eric. What have you been up to, Eric?
Well, I've been going through some old papers again, and I found another gem.
Oh, what kind of gem?
Going through my files, I did find, when I went down to the Capitol in 1988, Michigan State Capitol, Lansing, Michigan, when I was in 5th grade. If you remember, Matt, a couple episodes ago, I read a letter where I wrote to President Reagan with some classmates telling him how tattling is bad and giving him some tips on how to do his job. Mm-hmm. The next year, I was part of a project with a few classmates to write a letter about what Michigan would be like in the year 2037.
Oh, wow.
And this letter is sealed up in a time capsule with 173 other essays to be opened 50 years from that date, which would end up being 2037.
So, did you break into the time capsule and get it for us?
I didn't have to go to those extreme lengths. I actually have a copy of the letter. I figured I would read it right now. I have a copy of the letter, and I actually have a letter from the Secretary of State of Michigan at the time, Richard Austin.
Oh, yes.
Yep, where he thanks me for writing the letter and inviting me to come back 50 years later for when they open the time capsule and read these letters. I don't think I'm going to go. Because this letter is terrible.
They're going to be sitting there outside the Capitol like, well, that Eric Walensky guy should be here any time. We invited him 50 years ago.
If I thought telling the president that tattling was naive, this letter just reeks of 5th grade naivety.
Naivete. Isn't that the word?
It reeks of both. It's that bad, Matt. It doesn't even know how to pronounce how terrible it is. The letter begins, Michigan's future, the year 2037. Boy, 50 years have gone by, and we're just waiting for the day they open us. Now, to be clear, we're writing this like we're the letter talking.
Oh, okay.
We're not sealed in the time capsule.
I mean, they did do things differently in the 80s, but...
We sure hope things have progressed outside in the world. Well, kids, let me tell you about coronavirus. You'd be surprised. All right, here we go, Matt. We hope that Michigan stops the lottery because gambling is bad. Well, as of this reading in 2020, it has gone completely the other way, kids. And that the schools are drug-free. Maybe? It depends on what kind of drugs you're talking about. The hard drugs, probably. We wish that the government would give money to the poor so that they can send their children to school and so that they have a good house.
Were you in a socialist school or something? I was just gonna say. Boy, this would not go today. People now would drive you out of the country for saying something like that. I mean, basic Christian values? What?
Yeah, did Bernie Sanders help us draft this? We'd like school to be 3 days long and 10 hours a day. See, we weren't thinking, like, 50 years, we weren't going to be in school anymore, so who cares?
3 days long, wow.
We wish there were more jobs so you can have a decent house.
Okay.
And when you have either AIDS or diabetes, that they would have found a cure for both of them. What two weird diseases to pick. Like, we jumped right over cancer, which was still probably number one in 1988. And we're like, hopefully AIDS is cured.
And diabetes.
And diabetes too. I don't know. Were we that concerned about getting AIDS? Hope there is a cure for that. 'Cause
And then at the end of that sentence you added, and that we can live in nice houses.
we hope that when they build new prisons, they put bars deep in the ground so if anyone escapes from the building, they won't be able to get away. You know, like they do in a Bugs Bunny cartoon. Why did this even make the letter? There had to have been a teacher who helped us with this. And he's like, yup, bars deep in the ground. Like way down there so nobody can tunnel out. That's what we were concerned about, Matt. We wanted free money to the poor. We wanted nice homes, a cure for AIDS, and bars deep in the ground. So no one can escape from prison.
Oh man! If there's a talking horse in this letter, I'm going to be on the floor in a minute.
In 50 years, we're hoping there'll be movies for kids.
What?
Even for adults. I guess we just hope Hollywood keeps going.
I guess you weren't aware of movies at the time. Like, there are no movies out there for kids or for adults. Hope in 50 years that changes.
Well, this next line kind of clarifies, I think. Movies shouldn't have bad words or bad parts. So I guess that's what we mean by movies for kids. That they're not all just the F word and all that kind of stuff. But we also hope that there are still movies for adults, too. Although I doubt we meant it in that fashion. We hope transportation has improved. There shouldn't be many jams. I grew up in Saginaw, Michigan. There were only 2 traffic jams a year, Memorial Day and Labor Day.
Maybe you meant it a different way. Maybe you're like, I hate putting jam on toast.
Right. It should all just be jelly or nothing. There shouldn't be many jams. Oh boy. Hang on, Matt. Space stations, we hope, should be springing up like crazy with the new advances in technology. And then this is the most ADD letter ever because the next line is, we would really like a change in the television industry.
Did you elaborate on what kind of change?
Yes. We would like to have the television to have buttons where you can skip all the commercials and all televisions would be portables.
Well, kind of.
Yeah, kind of got one half right there.
You kind of were onto something there.
Another thing we think isn't fair is why the government just takes away farmers' land.
Okay.
By now, we hope the state would make a law that the state couldn't take away anyone's land.
I wonder what that was referring to.
I don't know. Was there an epidemic in the 80s? Just, we're taking your land. No! I wish the state would make a law that says the state can't do that. One way to stop crops from being destroyed by frost or rain is to build a dome, plastic or glass, over the plants. This way the farmer could go into the dome, through the dome, and water them.
Oh, man.
Some of the attractions we like in Michigan are the malls, such as Trappers Alley, the national parks, and the beaches. But our most favorite place is Copper Harbor. That must have been written by one of the other students because I have never been to Copper Harbor.
Okay.
When this gets opened in 50 years, they'll be like, you still like Copper Harbor, Eric? I'll be like, never been! We like this place because there's not too many stores, it's quiet, and it's relaxing. Well, I'll take the other student's word for that because...
Well, I like the way you like... Some of our favorite things are malls and this store and this... We like Copper Harbor because there are no stores.
I know, right? We love malls, but we love Copper Harbor more because there's no malls.
We love commerce, but we hate commerce.
We also want people to be more friendly. If they are, there won't be as many murders.
Okay.
We also wish there weren't abortions. We've been naming all these things hoping they have happened, but not knowing until we get opened. We've been naming these things like we haven't taken our meds. Space stations, no traffic jams, no AIDS, no abortions. Shout them out, kids. Just keep the ideas coming.
I'm guessing, though, that letter, probably, though, the way that went, when the teacher was like, I want you to write some things that you want changed, and all the kids are like, what are the things my parents hate the most?
Yes, exactly.
Traffic jam. They always complain about that one stoplight traffic jams. That's it.
Most of these things can't happen by themselves. They need people to change them. If we all stick together, we could probably get it to work.
Well,
there you go.
Only have 17 years left to accomplish all those things.
Yeah, so we better get to work on those space stations that are supposed to be springing up everywhere, because clock's ticking. There was actually an article in the Saginaw News about this. Persons who wait until the year 2037 can read Erica's time capsule essay. And the story goes on about this girl named Erica. She was another one of the writers.
I thought there was something different about you in 1980.
Oh, no. Yeah, it's not about us. It's about this. It's about this other girl, one of the other girls who had one of the other 173 essays in the time capsule. Parts of her story, she says, by 2037, teachers will be computers. You'll snap your fingers and your air-powered cars will come right to you. Erica's teacher, Roberta Morey, is quoted in this article saying, compared to the other students, Erica's essay was lengthier and deeper in thought. Some were real sketchy. I can only imagine what she would have thought of ours.
I wish she would have shared some of the sketchy ones with the newspaper.
I know.
That would have been great.
So, yeah, 17 years, and I can go down to the state capitol, and everybody can laugh at this nonsense. We'd like more clarification on those deep bars, Eric. You do know that prisoners don't really escape that way. Well, I know now.
Oh, wow. That is just priceless.
I know.
I've got to start looking through my stuff. I must have some old embarrassing stuff to read.
You'd be surprised. And when you run across it, you just cringe. And then I doubly cringe at this because I have a letter inviting me to relive this horror. You are cordially invited to attend the ceremonies for opening the time capsule in approximately 50 years. You should plan to contact the Michigan Historical Museum for details on the event as the year approaches.
Well, it is approaching, so maybe you should get on that.
Yeah, I'll reach out right now, as soon as the podcast is done. But speaking of things from the past, I was driving down Bay Road the other day, and Bay Road in Saginaw, Michigan, it's like any other normal town. It's got its McDonald's, it's got its malls, it's got its Targets, it's got all those sort of stores. But I'm noticing so much anymore how many buildings used to be something else. Do you notice that?
Well, yeah, a lot of businesses have left and new businesses have moved into those buildings.
See, the ones that get me the most are the buildings that completely look like the thing that they were previously.
Right.
Like on Bay Road, the Little Caesars is in the old Taco Bell now. So it completely looks like that old 1980s style Spanish Mission Taco Bell.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think like they didn't do anything to make it look different, because everybody who goes in there is like, oh yeah, they used to sell tacos here. Like, who did the market analysis that was like, well, tacos failed here, but it's a great place for pizza? People are going to come here for pizza. And for the first 6 months, I'm giving free breadsticks to every customer who walks through the door and asks, "Do you know where the Taco Bell went?" I don't know. Those things just make me laugh. And I also noticed that it's almost like some sort of a global restaurant war happened.
Yeah,
Yeah, because like it seems like all the Mexican restaurants became Chinese buffets.
that's true.
It's like the Chinese invaded and just displaced Mexico. Because the Casa del Rey, that was a Chinese buffet. La Senorita, it was a Chinese buffet. I like this one. Chi-Chi's is a Mongolian barbecue now.
Oh yeah.
So the Chinese even got the Mongols involved in this.
Yeah, that's true.
But the Mexicans didn't go away because they took over all of the American cuisine. They took over the Burger King on Bay Road, the
Hmm.
Texan on Bay Road, the Lindenhof in Bay City. So they had a bone to pick with the Germans, I guess. And then they took over. Do you remember the nightclub Cruisers here in Bay City?
No, no, I do not remember that.
Oh man, yeah, Cruisers is now a Mexican restaurant, but again, they changed nothing about the architecture of the building or even inside. So it's like I've gone in there to eat a couple times and it's like, "Oh, look, they put the salsa bar right where I used to watch girls throw up." I walked through there and it's like, "Oh, the floor's still sticky. They didn't even mop since the last time I was in here." I mean, we're even broadcasting out of this abandoned Long John Silver's.
Right, it used to be a Long John Silver's.
Yeah.
What will it be when people find out we're hanging out in here and throw us out? Who knows?
I'm thinking it's going to be a pot shop one day. I think it's going to
Could
be
be.
Long Ganja Silver's.
Well, I remember years ago in Saginaw it had been a bank. Very obviously was a bank. Had the drive-through for a bank. A church bought it. And you got to be, I guess maybe they had nowhere else to meet or what, or maybe they were like, this is going to be the perfect place. It's already got the teller windows, it's got the vault,
Uh,
everything we need for collecting. And then, it could be like a drive-through confessional in the drive-through. It could be like,
yes, it could be a drive-in communion. It's like, are you here for dining in or takeout?
there you go. Yeah. Phyllis Diller, I have to credit, Phyllis Diller did a joke about a drive-through confessional years ago called Toot and Tell or Go to Hell. So I can't steal that joke. It's just, but
Sure.
it would work there.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and then there's just some buildings that just are constantly becoming something different. And I think in my hometown there was one place, at one time it was like a little greasy spoon restaurant, and then it became like a VCR repair and steak sandwich place.
Com-
And
Combination?
yeah, but at the same time I think it was like Jim's steak sandwiches and VCR repair or something like that.
That sounds like something out of my time capsule letter. We hope in the future when you get your VCR fixed, you can get a steak sandwich while you wait.
I just figure this guy's like, I want to start a business. Maybe like, I don't think I'm going to have enough business to just repair VCRs, but maybe if I have both a steak sandwich place and I also repair VCRs on the side. Just combine the two things. Just combine two of your talents.
What a weird concept.
And then I think it became a pool supply place, and then for a while it was a daycare. I don't know. It just
See, that's what gets me too. When something has been so many different things that, I mean, obviously it could just be the businesses themselves, but you just think, like, is this a good location? So many things have come and gone.
yeah.
Like all the abandoned Kmarts now, they become a Halloween store for 1 month out of the year.
Right. And it is Saginaw, Michigan, so that is largely a Halloween store based economy there. So
Well, you know
yeah,
what? The Kmart on State Street, before that was Horizons. Do you remember what that was?
Levi's?
Nope.
Oh,
It
I
was
don't know.
laser tag.
Oh, that's right. I kind of remember that.
Yeah, somebody came in there with a vision like, hey man, you know what we could do with this old Kmart? Make it a laser tag. That's what I envision here.
And how did somebody come up with laser tag anyway? They're like, you know what would be good? People love playing with flashlights. But yeah, and then you go to Bay City, Michigan, and there's a lot of old buildings there in downtown. A lot of old buildings still there, and most of them were at one time a brothel.
Yeah. Try getting that out of the walls.
Yeah, even in Bay City, now they've started refurbishing some of those old buildings and turning them into lofts and apartments and things. They even took the old Bay City Times building and
Hmm.
they turned that into lofts. So where they used to publish the newspaper, you can now live in a loft. And I have relatives that were just stunned by this. They were like, who would want to live where the newspaper was published? Why would you want to do that?
It does sound weird. It really does.
I would move in if the printing presses were still there, because that would just be fun.
Stop the presses. I'm trying to sleep. Another one that really gets me in Saginaw, this one building, it used to be a sub shop. I don't remember the name
Mm,
of it, but it was a sub shop. Then that closed. Then it
okay,
reopened as a different sub shop, Jersey Giant sub.
okay.
Then that closed. Then it reopened as a chicken place, and it wasn't a brand I'd ever heard of.
Hmm.
And then that closed, and then Popeye's Chicken opened in that same building, and
Hmm.
then that closed, and now it's a Rite Aid.
It's like evolution there, It's just kind of a.
Well, that's exactly it. The market research on this. It's like this would be a great place for a sub shop. Ah, we closed. And then Jersey Giants came along and said, "Hey, that's a great place for a sub shop." Ah, we closed. You know, it's a great place for a chicken place. Ah, we closed. Hey, it's a great place for it's did anybody look to see what used to be there before they clearly the place is cursed for subs and chicken. And then Rite Aid just came in and said, "Ah, amateurs. This is where people want drugs." Here's one, Matt. Do you know corner of Bay and Tittabawassee started as a Hardee's?
In Saginaw.
Yep.
Okay.
Do you know what it became next?
Was it Kenny Rogers Roasters?
It was a chicken place. Ding, ding, ding. Kenny Rogers wasn't through with Saginaw yet. No, no, no. Those other guys didn't know what they were doing. They were trying to sell chicken on the wrong corner. Chicken's going to work here.
They didn't know when to fold them.
Well, guess what, Kenny? You're wrong too, because now you're Lover's Lane.
Yeah, now it's a lingerie and dainty unmentionables shop.
Yes, it is. Stores like that are, I think they pique people's curiosity, but I think a lot of people are maybe a little nervous or embarrassed to actually go into them.
Hmm.
That's why I think it's good that we have Yelp reviews. While I was searching for something else on Yelp, and yes, Matt, I was searching for something else on Yelp, I happened to stumble across some Yelp reviews for Lover's Lane. The Lover's Lane lingerie and kind of sexy store shop.
And that's its official title. That's how it's incorporated.
Just in case people don't know Lover's Lane, it's not an actual lane.
Well, that sounds like a nice place for young people.
The Lover's Lane in Saginaw, it's like Lover's Lane, where all our lingerie smells like chicken. It's finger licking good. But but these Yelp reviews slayed me because they try to be fair, but then they also seem like people just kind of went off on their own little tangents here.
Hmm.
One of them says the place is overpriced, very little variety, unaccommodating. I have no real issue with you not having a public restroom, but do not direct me next door to the business which has clearly been abandoned for years and cause me the further inconvenience of walking a few blocks further in single-digit temps and poorly shoveled walkways. How does that help me evaluate the quality of the store? I mean, overpriced, little variety, unaccommodating. And you know what? Don't shop there in the wintertime.
I like this one. I had a nice salesperson, Courtney, but she left a charger and bag out of my order. I made a trip back to get them. A most pushy salesperson, Martina, hawked us right away. I asked for a complimentary incense. Martina said, "Oh no, we cannot do that." Then she wanted to shake my hand. She was she was just inappropriate. The guy was nice. Go to another store though, as Martina was weird.
I like how we're just supposed to fill in the blanks here on some of this. Like, hey, you left a charger and bag out of my order. That's complimentary incense right there. That's the law. Here's one. I went in to return an unworn, tag still on outfit a week after purchase. It just fit funny. The girl at the counter asked if it was a gift, and I said, technically no.
That's the entire review.
Like, it doesn't even say if she got to return it or if they gave her a hassle or anything. It's just like, I went in to return this and I was confused at the question.
4 stars.
I like how she says technically no, though, because it's like she bought it for her, but she's wearing it for somebody else. So technically it's not a gift, but it is kind of a gift if you get my drift. Wink, wink. Because I was the gift. Get it? This is going in my Yelp review, by the way. And my journal.
Lover's Lane always seems to have some of the most sex-enthusiastic staff. I would like to see that sentence for other businesses. Burger King has some of the most sex-enthusiastic staff. I don't know why. Must be the pickles.
That is, because it's like, what would you expect? Oh, I hate this stuff.
The next sentence, I've gone into a few different lovers' lanes, and this was no exception.
I keep going into these lingerie and sex toy shops and finding sex enthusiastic staff. There's no exception.
I heard her, we don't know who her is, I heard her loudly explaining some sex toys to a very uncomfortable couple across the store and accidentally made eye contact with the fellow. Oopsies! Definitely would go back to this location, but it can be a bit rough getting in and out of the small parking lot.
That is a riot of a detail. How was the store? Sex enthusiastic staff. I accidentally made eye contact with another customer and the parking lot's tiny. Well, that covers it. And here's another one where the details get a little bit off the subject of Lover's Lane in their effort to be as complete as possible. Everyone thinks the salespeople are pushy. They actually are just really friendly people who like sex toys and talk about them like they're cars or t-shirts. The bonus is you can get Qdoba or Potbelly next door when you're done. That's the bonus.
Some people are not very appreciative of the sex-enthusiastic staff. This review says, "Good Lord, leave us alone, people. My husband and I want to peruse the funny outfits and gizmos in peace. I could have been spared the in-depth presentation of the massage oils, self-heating this and that from the salesperson. It felt like a lecture on biophysics." What?
Sex enthusiastic and biophysics majors. That's incredible pairing.
That's where people get their credits for that at local colleges, I guess. It's
I love I love that I can tell the age of the person who wrote this with the gizmos and the this and that and the bric-a-brac. Now this last one here. Maybe I'm not the right person to write a review for Lover's Lane. Well, have you been to Lover's Lane? Then you're probably the right person. But I know that from my experience here, I won't shop here again. I made a few purchases here and looked on Amazon to find the prices reduced to half the prices they charge. The staff here are also weird and know too much for their own good.
I hate knowledgeable staff.
My advice is to shop online. Let's clean up the neighborhoods. Well, wait a minute. You just said you went in there and bought things. And you're just mad that it's cheaper somewhere else. So do you really care about cleaning up the neighborhoods or saving a couple bucks?
This place is filthy. Let's shut it down. I don't like the kind of people that go into those filthy places. I'll stay home and do this stuff.
And hey, maybe I'm not the right person to be writing a review.
Oh my. Well, I think that's probably a good place to wrap up.
I think so.
So remember, we are on Facebook. Everything, Anything, and Nothing Really. We're on Podbean, on iTunes. You can also find us on YouTube now. Be sure and follow us. Be sure and like us. Comment on things on Facebook. Tell your friends.
And tell your enemies.
Don't tell our enemies.
No, we wouldn't appreciate that very much.
And don't tell the people that are going to be at that ceremony to open up the time capsule.
Yeah, I'm not showing up.
No, I wouldn't either. I'd be embarrassed.
Or maybe I will show up, and that'll be episode... Can't do the math fast enough.
52 times 17.
Yeah, exactly. I'm 50. That's what I was doing. 52 times 17? No, there's a 7 in there. I can't do sevens fast.
Say 50 times 10 is 500.
So, for everything, anything, and nothing really, I'm Eric.
I'm Matt.
And we'll see you next week.
Tell me why I had to go. Why don't you tell me why it just ain't so? Why don't you tell me why it hurts so bad? Why don't you tell me why you're not sad?
Welcome, everyone, to 2037 and the opening of the time capsule.
I'm out of here.